It's okay.
It's okay. Tell me when to begin. But in reality, I don't know where to begin. So, for me, Canarias was a very important milestone in my process of integration into the Siloist project. I'm English. I live in London, and I met the humanist movement in London in 1974. But in the early days of my participation, almost all of the people were from outside the UK. And the key people that were involved were from Chile. Refugees and people that came escaping the military coup and dictatorship in the south. And from the beginning I had a very strong, a very strong and a very emotional connection with these people, which for me as an Englishman was very strange. But after 4 years, I began to feel that the things that were being talked about, I began to doubt that there was a clear application in my world, because these people that I was meeting were very different from me. And one day they invited me to go to Canarias, and I said, it's impossible. I have a job, I have my children, my family, it's impossible for me to go. But because of these doubts that I had, it began to become much clearer. It became clear to me I had to decide. This thing was either something that was useful for me, that I should immerse myself in fully, or it's something that it's interesting, but I have to find something else because it doesn't fit. So I decided to go in order to see, is it something yes or no? And for me it was a revelation, because in that meeting I first met Negro, Silo. And I remember it as if it was yesterday, because I was introduced to him along with many other people. I didn't speak Spanish, he didn't speak English, but he greeted me for the first time as if I was an old friend. It was something very strong and special for me. And part of the experience was to share the experience of the week with him and other Siloists, with 500 people who I saw were like me. They weren't strange people, they weren't special people, they were ordinary people. Some obviously with the gadgets of rich people with cameras and tape recorders, and others much more modest, but there was a whole range of people from all over the world, but all with that same sentiment and connection. And for me it was very clear from my experience there, it became clear that this was something that was not only interesting for me but very necessary to become involved in. And from that time on I call myself very clearly a Siloist. Not just a humanist, but a Siloist, because for me Silo is a very important reference, and became a very important reference as the living embodiment. When I saw Silo, not just when he was talking, but in the informal meetings and conversations that he had with other people, whether it was coffee or eating, I saw in the way he behaved the doctrine. It wasn't just talk, it wasn't just words in a book, but it lived it. And for me it was very, very strong and very important.
Okay.